Hi, friends. Today, the last chapter, the concluding chapter of Lord of Kumarikandam will be recorded as an audiobook. The chapter 6, Rift and Reconciliation. Lord Kandan was riding back to his kingdom along with Hilangovan and Kadir Selvan. Senadipati Veerabhagu was stationed at Vallimalai to assist Nambiarasan and his tribe from defending Devendran's army if attacked. Lord Kandan reminisced the events that changed his course of life and his destinies. Decisions which he had taken, if unwound, could have completely led to a different life than the present scenario. He remembered the huge rift that arose due to his parents being biased towards his brother, Lord Vinayagam, and presenting him with the Jnanapadam, fruit of knowledge and wisdom. His parents had asked them to circumnavigate the earth to obtain the fruit. Lord Kandan rode along with his peacock to circumnavigate the earth, whereas his brother just went around his parents and claimed the fruit, based on the saying that the parents are the word for their children. Lord Kandan, on returning back, felt betrayed by his parents and hoodwinked by his brother. The fruit of knowledge became fruit of animosity for Lord Kandan and his parents. Lord Kandan felt discriminated as an younger son who was dominated by his elder brother and his parents, pampering affection to their first child. It was an uncontrollable anger that encompassed Lord Kandan, which made him abandon everything and walk out of Kailasam with only his loincloth on. His mother Uma's repeated plea for him to return back and Lord Vinayagam's offer of the fruit went on deaf ears. Lord Kandan trekked barefooted on the arduous mountain of Palani. He was provided food and water by Tamilans residing in and around the mountain. They consoled Lord Kandan, and their leader offered Lord Kandan to be the king of Kumarikandam. Moved by their devotion and unwavering loyalty to him, Lord Kandan accepted to be their king. This is where Lord Kandan met Senadipati Veerabhagu, Ilangovan, and Kadir Selvan, who were all time tested general and soldiers of Lord Sambasivam army. These were the most difficult days in the life of Lord Kandan. He missed the life and comfort of parents at Kailasam. It took him considerable time to come to terms with the new life that he had ahead of him. Lord Kandan owed his recovery due to the timely mediation of Avayar. His parents had sent Avayar to get back their son to Kailasam. Avayar's strategy for consoling Lord Kandan was questioning him on various values of life. Avayar asked Lord Kandan, Muruga, you yourself are the fruit of knowledge. Why do you require another? Can you, the all knowing and enlightened, bear anger at your own parents? Avaya, I know you are the most devoted and ardent well wisher of mine. I am happy to have your company, but do not justify my parents' actions. How can they discriminate their younger child? They are more biased and patronize their elder son, Lord Vinayagam, and they have always bestowed priority to him. It is a play that they staged only to reward him with Jnanapadam. Avayar replied, Muruga, you know that every incident and event has a purpose and cause for it. This incident is also one such example. Away from Kailasam, you are destined to achieve greater glory and laurels. Return back to your parents and enlighten Kailasam with your radiance, charm, and intellect. Lord Kandan replied, Avayar, this is my word, my nation, my people, and my devotees. From henceforth, this is my home. If they want to visit me, they are always welcome. I have moved away from Kailasam. Avaya did not argue with Lord Kandan, but heart of hearts, she knew that Muruga, even though short tempered, was magnanimous in blessing his devotees beyond their dreams. He was always merciful to all those who sought his refuge. He was and will always be the champion of downtrodden. He always questioned the existing status quo and hated discrimination. Lord Kandan was the bestower of justice and he symbolized the unification of all the six senses. Lord Kandan is truth and truth is Lord Kandan. Avayar bowed to Lord Kandan and departed. She walked through the dense forest. She felt tired and rested beneath the shady tree. She saw a shepherd boy on the trunk of Navalpadam or Navapadam, what we call it as. Avayar went into a reverie of Murugan's upbringing by six Kartikeyas and hence the name Kartikeyan. He is the son of time and hence prayers offered to him will always provide solace to his devotees even in the age of conflict, Kali Yugam, and hence the title Kali Yuga Varada. She recollected the incident of Lord Kandan imprisoning the creator, Lord Brahma, for not having answered the meaning of Om, the Pranava Mandiram. He took him as a prisoner for his negligence and ignorance of being unaware about the meaning of Pranava Mandiram. Even though he was the creator, he couldn't be dissuaded to release Lord Brahma either by his parents or by Lord Vishnu. Lord Kandan's statements for his behavior echoed in Avayar's ears. The wrongs committed by elders should not be excused or buried, rather, it should be rectified. Truth is independent of age of the person. Knowledge and age are unrelated entities. Avaya then recollected that only by the effort of his father, Lord Sambasivam, Lord Kandan was convinced to release Lord Brahma. Lord Sambasivam then challenged Lord Kandan to explain him the meaning of Pranava Mandiram. Lord Muruga told him to sit down and listen to him as he was a teacher at present. When Lord Sambasivam resisted, he said, "Teacher doesn't have any age and transfer of knowledge is important. You might be my biological father, but by transferring knowledge to you, I am your teacher." Bowing to the righteous word of Lord Kandan, Lord Sambasivam heard the meaning of Pranava Mandiram. Avayar's reverie was broken by Lord Kandan in the guise of a shepherd. "Avayar, do you want to have burnt or unburnt fruit?" Avayar was confused as to when had they started burning the fruit. Out of curiosity, she preferred the burnt fruit. Lord Kandan offered the naval padam or black plum, which he dropped into the sand intentionally. Avayar, who was nearby, collected those fruits. She blew the sand, sticking to the black plum, and popped it into her mouth. Lord Kandan then asked, "Is it hot, Avayar? You are blowing the air to cool the fruit?" Avayar realized the play of words by the shepherd and she said, "I thought that I knew everything and I was a master of Tamil. Thank you for making me modest and helping me to overcome my arrogance. I don't think you are a shepherd. Kindly reveal me your identity." Lord Kandan revealed his identity to Avayar, who bowed to him with humility and devotion. Lord Kandan then asked Avayar, "Avaye, can you tell me what is the rarest thing on earth?" "O Muruga, rare it is to be born as human being, rarer it is to have knowledge and education, more rare it is to do charity and penance. It is most rare to be born devoid of any physical disabilities," replied Avayar. "Which is the most cruel thing on earth?" asked Kandan. Avayar replied, "Poverty is cruel when you are young. More cruel is the incurable disease. Most cruel is to eat from the hands of a woman devoid of love and affection." Lord Kandan continued with his questioning. "What is the most pleasant thing on earth?" Avayar answered, "Being aloof is pleasant. Bowing down to the first of first is pleasant. More pleasant is learned men coming together, and the most pleasant experience is having learned ones not only in person but even in dreams." Lord Kandan asked, "Which is the beginning and which is the end?" Avayar replied, "End is at the beginning and beginning is at the end." Lord Kandan appreciated with joy. "Avayar, your knowledge in Tamil and understanding of the word is impeccable. Long live your contribution to Tamil and Tamil." Lord Muruga, I am blessed to have your radiant presence. For times to come, use the spear gifted by Mother Uma as a courageous spear when you strike the enemies, knowledge and merciful spear when you use it on your friends. The anger and sense of betrayal that Lord Kandan had for being ill treated vanished in the soothing presence of Avayar and her wise words. Thus, the first reconciliation of Lord Kandan with his parents happened. Coming out from his reverie, Lord Kandan turns toward Ilangovan and told him, Ilangovan, I think it is time that you go back home and meet your family. You have sacrificed 6 years of your life towards the welfare of Kumarikandam and me. I am blessed to have such loyal and trusted generals under me. I sense you should immediately rush home to avoid some unforeseen circumstances. Hearing this, Ilangovan decided to immediately go back home. He had tried to hide his longing for Damarai by being involved in serving Lord Sambasivam, Lord Kandan, and Kumarikandam. Finally, he had an opportunity to be with his family. He bid farewell to Lord Kandan. Kadir Selvan too joined him. Next scene, Devendran was seething with anger that Lord Kandan had married to Valli, a low caste tribal woman, against the code of conduct. He was upset when sage Narada had informed him about the Gandharva marriage that Lord Kandan had. He was angry with Nambi Arasan and Valli, but his gratitude for Lord Kandan superseded his anger. Devendran had informed to sage Narada that he wouldn't have been upset if Lord Kandan had an affair with Valli or had her as a concubine as per the prevalent practice. But he was upset that Lord Kandan had bestowed upon Valli the status of a wife, similar to his daughter Devani, which was unforgivable to him. Devendran called one of his generals and asked him to lead a battalion of army to Vallimalai to defeat the tribal leader, Nambi Arasan, and to capture Valli as a prisoner. Lord Kandan's foresightedness in leaving his Senadipati Veerabagu behind had paid off. Nambi Arasan and his tribal warriors were able to defeat Devendran's army by the battle strategy suggested by Veerabagu. The tribals hosted a banquet to celebrate the defeat of Devendran's army and the marriage of their dear Valli to Lord Kandan. Next scene. Lord Kandan returned back to Tiruparankundram with his newly wed wife, Valli. He had sent message through the messenger to Devane and Devendran about his arrival along with his newly wed wife, Valli. Lord Kandan was resting in his abode after the exhausting journey. Senadipati Veerabagu entered the palace and greeted Lord Kandan. Lord Kandan inquired Veerabagu, "What are our subjects talking about my Gandharva marriage to Valli?" Veerabagu spoke, "Lord Kandan, Shaivites are very happy that you have married to a staunch Shaivite and their misplaced trust on you has been erased by this act of yours." Veerabagu added, "Vaishnavites feel that you have betrayed them and you have leaned towards Shaivism. Majority of our subjects feel that you have done the balancing act appropriately between the Vaishnavites and Shaivites. By your marriage, they feel that you have conveyed a message to the society that Lord Sambasivam and Lord Perumal are one and the same. It has helped imbibe secular thoughts in both the sects to coexist and cooperate for mutual progress." Veerabagu continued, "Only a handful of people felt that you should have had the tribal chieftain's daughter as a concubine and not bestowed equal status of wife to Valli as that of Devani." Mahendran, general of 3rd Arupadai, announced, "Lord Kandan, Devendran's army had attacked the tribal army of Vallimalai. They were defeated by the able guidance of our Senadipati Veerabagu and the bravery of tribals. Devendran had a humiliating defeat which he is not proud to brag about." Lord Kandan answered, "Veerabagu and Mahendran, I thank you for providing me with these inputs which makes my administration effective. I will resolve this issue at the earliest." Till the last day of her marriage, she eagerly awaited for any information or news about her husband or possibility of his return, but in vain. Fate had its own twists and turns for Damarai awaiting ahead. On the day of wedding, Ilangovan barged into the house. He was surprised to see decorations adorning his home for a wedding. He was shrouded with doubt as to whose wedding it could be. His daughters were too young to be married. Ilangovan shouted, Damarai, Damarai, where are you? What is happening in our home? Whose wedding it is adorned for? All the assembled guests were shell shocked to hear and see Ilangovan back alive. Hearing Ilangovan's voice, Damarai rushed through to meet him in her bridal wear and she hugged Ilangovan. Ilangovan pushed Damarai from her embrace and angrily shouted, Why are you dressed like a bride? Are you getting married? Damarai stammered, Yes, my dear, I've waited for you so long, and due to pressure from my family, I agreed for remarriage, keeping our daughter's future in mind. How could you do it to me, Damarai? 6 years apart from you, I've always thought only of you. Not even a moment I have thought about any other woman or touched anyone throughout these years. I have bragged to many that my Damarai would await for me till eternity. All my trust in you is shattered. I don't know who to trust or not to. Warned Ilangovan, wailed Ilangovan. Please, dear, do listen to my side of the story. I have still this moment thought only about you. Having no information from you or from the returning injured soldiers, my mother and brother insisted me to get married for the safety and future of my daughters. Still this moment, and even now, even if I had got married, your memory would have not been erased from me. Try to understand, dear. Damarai, you have breached my trust and I can't stay with you anymore and you can proceed with your marriage. Be happily married with your new husband. With that, Ilangovan departed his home in a huff and walked towards Kadiselvan's house. He treaded painfully with pangs of betrayed love. Kadiselvan was not surprised to see Ilangovan arriving. He heard from him the story of Damarai's betrayal of his idealistic love. He thought that after such a long gap, without a hint of communication, Damarai would have already married. He was surprised at the coincidence of Ilangovan's return and her date of marriage. Destiny had its own story ahead. Kadiselvan suggested, Talaivare, you could have stopped the marriage and taken her home. Ilangovan replied with pain, How could I do that? She has already decided to get married. I cannot forcefully stop the marriage. I am a warrior and not a rogue. Kadiselvan remained silent. He realized that only time could heal the emotionally injured Ilangovan. Ilangovan challenged Kadiselvan to a friendly bout of Silambatam. There was a lot of intensity at Ilangovan's end. Kadiselvan realized that the hurt, grievance, and anger was at play. He just resisted all the powerful blows and gave an opportunity for Ilangovan to vent out his frustration. During dinner, Ilangovan inquired about Kadiselvan's meeting with Selvi. Kadiselvan informed that he had planned to marry her as per Tamil tradition and would seek Lord Sambasivam and Lord Kandan's due blessing for the same. Lord Kandan had agreed to preside over the wedding. Ilangovan was happy for Kadiselvan and congratulated him. He also agreed to be a part of the wedding ceremony. The next scene. After reaching Tiruparakundram, Valli went to meet Devanai in her queen's quarters. Lord Kandan reluctantly agreed to Valli's idea of visiting Devanai as he knew a conflict would be inevitable. Valli saw her co-wife Devanai lost in thoughts gazing through the window. Valli introduced herself. Devanai Akka implies elder sister in Tamil. I am Valli, daughter of tribal chieftain Nambi Arasans. Greetings to you. Devanai angrily acknowledged her presence and said, How could you think of marrying another woman's husband, knowing that he is already married? Aren't you ashamed by your act? You are a disgrace to women folk. Valli replied, I did no crime. I had already decided and vowed to marry Lord Kandan or none. It was a sheer coincidence that Lord Kandan, who was in disguise of a hunter initially and later as an old man, understood my devotion for me and accepted me as his wife. Also, polygamy is not a crime and it is a custom here. Even your father Devendran has a legitimate wife Indrani, yet he has a lot of apsaras as his concubine. How is it a different rule for your father and for Lord Kandan? Devanai retorted, I wouldn't have bothered if he had taken you as a concubine, meeting you in sly and clandestinely. But by marrying you, he has announced to the world that you are in equal stature to me. How can a lowly born tribal woman with no etiquette and sophistication to be a queen be equal to me in stature? Vali, in a fit of anger, shouted, I am blessed that Lord Kandan is not like other men who disrespect women by having them as concubines and socially deprive of them of their privilege as their husband. Being a woman, I thought that you would acknowledge the respect that Lord Kandan has for women. I might be a tribal chieftain daughter, but we are straightforward and honest, not treacherous and cunning with an air of royalty that many in the cities have. I am more proud to be the daughter of a tribal leader than being a wife of an emperor. My love to Lord Kandan was a divine love and not a marital alliance or compulsion to regain back lost empire. Hearing these piercing words, Devane was highly agitated and she burst out. My marriage to Lord Kandan was an arranged marriage with due consent from our parents and our kith and kin. My marriage to Lord Kandan was not a token of gratitude for providing refuge to my father. Lord Kandan helped us purely out of his magnanimity. Lord Kandan loved me, and that is the reason I married him. It is not Gandharva marriage in sly to justify the physical intimacy. I should complain to my father in law, Lord Sambasivam, but even he has concealed Mother Ganga clandestinely. I think it's a hereditary trait. You are a witch who has seduced my husband, Lord Kandan, away from me. Valli was angered by Devani's words. She retorted, I thought you would understand my position if I spoke the truth to you about my marriage to Lord Kandan. But you have lost civility and you are clouded by unreasonable anger and prejudice. I cannot reason out with such thoughts. Even though my marriage with Lord Kandan was Gandharva marriage, he has openly accepted to the entire world that I am his wife. This is more important to me than what you think of me. Valli stormed out of the general's queen's quarters, much to the disgust of Devanai. Next scene. Ilangovan continued staying with Kadisalvan even after his marriage. Most of the time, Ilangovan drank his grief away. The Pamera Todi, Kallu, drowned his misery and betrayal. Selvi understood Ilangovan's turmoil and had no complaints about him. She and Kadisalvan stood by Ilangovan through thick and thin during his difficult time. Ilangovan and Kadisalvan visited the local toddy shop. As usual, Ilangovan got drunk completely to drown his sorrow and he got into a fight with his neighbor Kanniappan, who had mocked his wife's chastity and accused her of having an affair with him too. He questioned Ilangovan's manliness and his wife's chastity. Ilangovan bet Kanniappan black and blue. Kadir Selvan's efforts prevented Ilangovan from killing Kanniappan. The neighbor brought it to the local judge's notice, who punished Ilangovan with the harshest of punishment. Ilangovan was asked to tame the wild and fierce bull Bhairavan during Jallikattu, event on Matu Pongal. Kadisalvan was shocked to hear the verdict, as Bhairavan had a reputation of having gored to death many professional tamers. Ilangovan presently was not the warrior he was, and all his years of training and agility was drowned into the Pamera toddy. Jallikattu was Kumarikandam's favorite sport. Huge crowd had assembled to witness the taming of bull. The untamable Bhairavan was in a huge demand among the cattle breeders, and he was rented from the owner to impregnate their cows with superior calf. All the warriors who had tried to tame Bhairavan had met with a sad end. The name of Ilangovan was announced as the warrior who sought to tame Bhairavan. There was a hushed silence among the crowd. All of them which watched with bated breath the events which unfolded. Ilangovan successfully evaded the bull, but it was just a matter of time before Bhairavan had a final say. Bhairavan had Ilangovan injured grievously, and he was bleeding profusely, but he stood his ground and tried to hold on to the hump of Bhairavan and bring it down onto its knees. Even though his strategy was perfect, but his energy level couldn't match with the deed to be done. He was struggling to remain on his feet. All the spectators watched with bated breath to see Bhairavan do his final act, ripping Ilangovan's gut out. Bhairavan charged madly at Ilangovan. Kadiselvan, who had watched all the turn of events, couldn't believe his eyes and the sad state that Kumarikandam's brave general had. He did not want Ilangovan to have a gory end by the bull. He jumped into the arena and hurled his spear at the charging bull. The spear went right through Bhairavan and he was pinned to the ground. Bhairavan was writhing with pain. Seeing this, Kadiselvan pierced his knife through his throat and brought an end to its misery. The crowd cheered at the unexpected turn of events. They appreciated the gallantry of Kadiselvan towards Ilangovan and carried them both on their shoulders. Kadiselvan paid Bhairavan's owner a bagful of coins for his loss, even though it was against the established rule in Jallikattu not to attack the bull with any other weapon. People appreciated Kadiselvan's friendly gesture in saving Ilangovan's life. The story of Ilangovan and Kadiselvan's brotherhood and comradeship spread like wildfire throughout Kumarikandam. Kumarikandam's walls were etched with the graffiti of their brave act. Plays were enacted showcasing the friendship of Ilangovan and Kadiselvan. This story reached the ear of Lord Kandan too. He was happy about the camaraderie that his warriors had for each other. Ilangovan and Kadiselvan were the best role model for other warriors. The next scene, Devanai was filled with gloom, helplessness, and seemed lost. She decided to meet her mother Indrani and seek her counsel. On reaching Indrani's quarters, Devanai rushed in and hugged her. She burst out into inconsolable tears. Sobbing, she complained, "Mother, how could Lord Kandan betray me? I have sacrificed a lot for him as a dutiful wife. My love for him is pure. Couldn't he feel it or have the same?" Indrani consoled her. "I do understand your grief and pain, Devanai. I have been there and felt it. Trust me, it isn't easy. Only time heals our wounds and we habituate ourselves to the inevitable. Your father Devendran is no saint. He has had a lot of affairs with maids, concubines, and apsaras. Many of them also bore his children. He has not shared the status of wife with any of them. The entire world knows his affairs and his illegitimate children. Even though I am disgusted by his affairs, I have turned a blind eye to it and retained my position as his legitimate wife. I pity the suffering of our women folk who have had affairs with your father. They are abused by the society to be unchaste and as concubines, while Devendran's promiscuity is brushed under the carpet. Their sufferings are unimaginable. The illegitimate children are taunted and they neither get the due respect they deserve nor the share of the kingdom as legitimate children do. I am fortunate to have the stature of legitimate wife of Devendran with all the privileges associated with it. The present war with Surapadman was mainly due to the unfair treatment of the captured women of Veeramagendrapuram. Devendran and his men utilized them as sex slaves. Many a times he has coaxed me to be his reluctant participant and a facilitator for his heinous acts. King Surapadman treated his women folk far better and he set a benchmark for the welfare activities of women. Hearing these unheard stories of her mother Indrani, Devanai sympathized and empathized with her mother. She appreciated her resilience and stoic nature. Indrani continued, "You are fortunate, Devanai. Lord Kandan respects women. Even with all his accomplishment and success, he hasn't misused his power. He hasn't had any relationship with any other woman except for you. Now he has married Valli and given her the same stature as wife. Do not have insecurity and fear about your position. He would treat you the same way as he did earlier. Lord Kandan has respected Valli as a woman and not abused her as a concubine. He has also upheld the dignity of tribals who are abused by each and every sundry person as barbarians and lowly born scums. Lord Kandan's act would have a positive repercussions throughout the world. Many men who are having concubines would think twice and legitimize their relationships. Women would think twice before they end up as concubines and would rather demand equal stature as a wife. Lord Murugan has thus won the hearts of tribals and women for eternity by breaking the status quo. I am very sure that Lord Kandan would never discriminate or treat unequally either you or Valli. Devane shed jealousy, unhealthy competition, and mistrust of Valli. Happiness would prevail if you do so. Indrani continued, if you still find it unbearable to share Lord Kandan with Valli, you can walk out of the marriage. We will support your decision and stand by you. Hearing to the wise words of Indrani was a consolation for Devane's unbearable grief. She could perceive Lord Kandan's act in a new perspective. She was now eager to listen to Lord Kandan's explanation for marrying Valli. The grievously injured Ilangovan was nursed by Selvi. Most of the days he would be unconscious and moaning with pain. The Siddha Vaidya, the physician practicing Siddha medical system is called as Siddha Vaidya, visited him daily and bandaged his wounds with herbs and prescribed him churnam, herbal powder, to be mixed with milk and to be fed twice a day. Damarai too, having heard about Ilangovan's Jellikattu story, rushed to Kadiselvan's house. He spoke to her about Ilangovan's injuries and also the emotional trauma he underwent with her wedding scenario. Damarai narrated her side of the story to Kadiselvan, who empathized with her. She also told him about her immense joy to witness Ilangovan alive and having returned back to the family, even though her happiness was short-lived due to Ilangovan's outburst and again deserting her for the second time. She also shared to Kadiselvan her cancellation of the fixed marriage. She, along with her daughters, were eagerly awaiting for Ilangovan's return back home. Damarai pleaded with Kadiselvan to allow her to nurse Ilangovan and assured him of leaving unnoticed before Ilangovan regains consciousness. Kadiselvan found no harm in her request and agreed to it. Damarai and Selvi took due care of Ilangovan day in and day out till he recovered completely. As per her promise, Damarai stopped turning up once she noticed her husband returning back to prime of his health. Ilangovan appreciated the domestic life of Kadiselvan and Selvi. It was quite pleasant for him to notice Kadiselvan take up a new role as a family man from the reckless life that he had. Kadiselvan spoke to Ilangovan about Damarai's cancellation of wedding and their patience in awaiting for him to return back. Ilangovan was happy to hear that Damarai wasn't married, even though he did not reveal it on his countenance, and took it stoically. The last straw for Ilangovan's anger to subside was when Kadiselvan informed him of Damarai's role in nursing him and getting him back to health. Ilangovan recalled the words of Siddha Vaidya, that his recovery was a miracle and a rarest of rare case that he had witnessed in his medical experience. The bubble of anger burst and Ilangovan was filled with remorse. Immediately he bid goodbye to his dear friend and brother in arms, Kadiselvan and his wife. He reached back home. Damarai and his daughter, seeing him back, hurled themselves on him. It was the best huddle that the brave warrior of Kumarikandam ever had. Lord Kandan had heard about the argument that Devane and Valli had regarding their marriage. He decided to end the animosity that was broiling in between them. He asked Valli to accompany him to Devane's quarter. Devane was standing near the windowsill, lost in thoughts. Seeing Lord Kandan and Valli together, she had a sudden pang of pain in her heart. With a forced smile, she welcomed them. Lord Kandan addressed Devane. I am sorry to have kept you in dark about my marriage with Valli. It was not a planned event. It was more of circumstances and inevitable destiny that led us to meet each other. Our love, devotion, and affection is as much as you have bestowed on me. Valli did not seduce me into marriage. You are both like my eyes. I can't afford to exist without any one of you. Both of your absence would make my life incomplete. I married each one of you purely on the basis of love and with no ulterior motives or benefits intended. Devane, you represent the Icha Shakti, the power of will, and Valli represents the Kriya Shakti, the power of action, and my veil or spear represents the Jnana Shakti, the power of knowledge. Knowledge, will, and action runs the world in unity and in tandem. Lord Kandan continued. Also, sage Narada narrated to me that in your earlier birth, Devane and Valli, you both were sisters who wanted to marry me and made severe penance for the same. The present event is a fruit of those severe penance that you both made. Who can conquer fate and what we are destined to? Emotions change with circumstance. I want both of you to live in the same household and enjoy equal privileges and stature. I assure you both to treat you equally without any discrimination. Shed your jealousy, hostility, anxiety, and low self esteem to lead forward a happy life ahead. I want the world to know that they can reach me by worshipping through the Devane's approach of conventional, controlled, and ritualized method, or by Valli's approach of worshipping through ecstasy and abandonment. Valli is antithesis of you, Devane. Devane is you are the epitome of chastity and purity, while Valli is the zenith of infinite and liberated love. You both represent the dialectic nature of the world. Valli asked Lord Kandan, did you marry me to appease the disgruntled Shaivites and help in sowing secularism in Kumarikandam? Lord Kandan replied, I did not marry you with any ulterior motive. I married you for your devotion and unwavering loyalty to me. It was a happy coincidence that Shaivites feel that I am with them, which I was with or without marrying you. I don't want to disrespect or discriminate you or Devane in any way. We will always represent as symbol of love for eternity with opposing ideals. It will be the unity of opposite. Let us be steadfast with each other under all circumstances, and let us always struggle to unite and unite to struggle. With all their inhibitions, prejudices, and doubts clarified, the co-wives, Valli and Devane, lived happily with Lord Kandan for eternity, and thus ends the great saga of the Lord of Kumarikandam. Thank you, viewers. This is the conclusion of the final chapter of Lord of Kumarikandam. Thank you for going through all the audiobooks of this book, Lord of Kumarikandam. If you have liked all the chapters of it, share it with your friends. You can also comment about your views on this audiobook. So like and subscribe for this channel. Thank you.